Hi everybody, I'm Bill Sanders and this is Watch Art Sci, the art and science of watch collection. Today we're going to look at a very unique watch company and watchmaker. It's called Oechslin Jr. and to understand it you have to understand that almost all of the technical design and development ideas was done by Dr. Ludwig Oechslin. And he was, for a number of years, he worked at Ulysse Nardin, or worked with Ulysse Nardin, and creating a number of their more memorable watches, including the Freak, Moonstruck, Trilogy of Time, Perpetual GMT, and Sonata. So, I mean, he sort of went into it. And then about 20 years ago, he began managing the International Museum of Horology in La Chaux-de-Fonds. And he did that for about 15 years. And then he started the company called Oechslin Jr., which is translated to Oechslin Jr. He has an interesting sense of humor, let me put it that way, and that's the name of it. And by the way, too, the name of Oechslin Jr. is always in lowercase, and I have no idea why, but there it is. Now, in order to understand the sort of the essence of the watches that are made, you have to understand two things. First of all, there's a totally different way of viewing time. Your typical watch has 2 or 3 hands on it, and maybe a date window, a few things like this. What Oechslin did was to create a number of watches with little windows. They actually look like little small portholes with the information relative to the position on the watch. So that's one thing. The other thing is that none of the movements, none of the base movements in the Oechslin Jr. watches are in-house made. They're all made by someone else. When you look at a watch, they tell you exactly who it is, which to me counts for 2,000 points for integrity, which is really good. You don't see a lot of that all the time. But with Oechslin Jr., you see all, I mean, you know what you're getting. And in fact, they even show you all of the parts go into the different models. There aren't a lot of them, but that speaks to something else. That speaks to genius, the simplicity and genius. You can also find it in Jean-Marc Viderec's watches, the Agenhor guy. I mean, they have these minds that don't rely on conventional solutions. Okay, so let's get started. Now, the first one is called the Day-Night. Simple name, pretty much descriptive of what they do. And it's got it has the length of the day and nighttime for the location of your choice. Now, what this means, if you live in Calcutta, India, they'll make it one way for you, and if you live in Moscow, they'll make it in another, and if you live in London, they make it in another. Australia, the United States, no matter where you are, they will set your watch. There's a lot of customization done by this company. So if you get something, and then if you move, then they got to reset it. I'm not quite sure how that's done. And if you face south, it shows you the position of the sun and the moon. So if I'm facing south right now and I look at my watch like the one up there, at 12 o'clock I can see that's where the moon is, and then over at 9 o'clock it's where the sun would be. Just an amazingly cool watch. It's got the solar noon, sunrise and sunset, the position of the sun and the moon, this guy that I just mentioned, and the moon phase, time and date. So it's not just a moon phase watch, or just a day and night watch. It's really something. That part right there over to the right is called the horizontal fan, or one of the 2 horizontal fans, and this is where you see the movement of the moon and the sun. really an amazing watch. Now this one, it's a Ulysse Nardin UN 320. It does have a silicone hairspring. What are you going to do? It's 3 hertz, which I do like. And it's got stop seconds. Crazy about that, but it does have it. And they range, and this is an interesting thing, they range from 40 millimeter to 33, or actually in this particular one, you can either get it at 40 millimeter or 43 millimeter. And these are customizable, and they begin at 16,000 Swiss francs for this particular model. Different ones cost different amounts. Now, this next moon phase watch, this is one that has a very big range of prices. They're starting about 7,400 Swiss francs. That's without VAT and everything. You can get them out of titanium or sterling silver for the case. And the way it works is that there's sort of, if you see those dots around it, those are the dates. The hour and the minute hands are pretty standard, along with the second hand. Sometimes it's hard to see the second hand depending on how it's set up, because they have different ways of setting it up. It's really customizable. And then sort of in that there's sort of an inner ring in there, and you can see the sun and the moon, their relative position, or the relative position of the moon phase. And down below there, I put in one of the little parts that they have. That's one of the things, you look at this and say, gee whiz, this thing is, it's running on an ETA or something like that. This one is on an ETA 2824 as a base, and that's a lot of money. And then they just put a few parts in there. You say, what is that? What it is you're paying for is genius. Really amazing kinds of thinking that goes into these watches. By the way, too, they're not for everyone. I mean, you look at that, okay, you just keep nothing here for you. But the ingenuity of these watches, to me, is just mind-blowing. I feel somewhere along the line, I got to find one that I can afford and get it. So they're amazing watches. And too, like I said, these two, look how different they are, that you can have them customized in different ways. Now, this next one is one that I've reported on before. But what I wanted to do here was to show the parts. Now, there are 12 parts that go into a perpetual calendar. 9 of those parts are new or added, and 3 of them are simply reworked somehow. But 12 parts for a perpetual calendar is amazing. They gave an example of the Patek Philippe used 182 added parts in their perpetual calendar, the 5204. Now, the perpetual calendar was on top of a Rattrapante. It was part of the Patek Philippe. So it must have had a lot of parts. But just 182 were for the perpetual calendar. This one, the way it works, again, this is, you've really got to understand how these little dots are used. On the outer set of dots, those are simply the days of the month, and it goes around. Now, on the inner part, you see 4 little holes, and one of them is orange. If any of them are orange, that means it's a leap year, and so February will have, 29 days instead of 28. And the way it works, the top and the bottom, those 2 little wheels right below 12 o'clock. One is for power reserve indicator, and it goes around. And the other one is, I think it's for the seconds, buzzing around for you there. But you have to think about things differently when you look at this. That to me is, like I said, it's not the hands, but look what can be done with so few parts. 21,000 Swiss francs, not cheap, but man, I tell you, you price some of the other perpetual calendar watches, and this is really a deal. Now the annual calendar it's a little different. Uses fewer parts. You can see them down there. Okay, you want an annual calendar? I'll put these in for you. Here are two different designs, same watch. You have three circles, the big one, and then you have two sort of circles made up of dots that look like subdials. And the one at the top is the month of the year, and so it goes around, and whatever, you can see it down at the one down in the lower right, where you see you have a sort of round of green ones and your little yellow ones. The yellow one will tell you what month of the year it is. The outer circle with the red ones on the bottom one, that tells you the date. Right now, it's about the 15th of the month on the bottom one. And then you have the day of the week. And so you look at those dots. How do I know what day of the week it is? Well, you start at one point, then it just goes around to the days. And if you know where Monday is, you know where the rest of the week is. Again, like I said, not for everyone, but really ingenious what can be done with a few parts. Now, this next one is the date. All right. It doesn't, very simple watch, beautiful watch. Again, this is customizable. This one I put together, all of the ones with the strange colors, I added my lack of artistic talent to. This one I like. It's sort of a simple one. You have a little red dot going around, and that's what the date is. And you get an idea of it from the relative to the position on the watch. And now if it's right down there at the 30 after, that's half past, and half past 31 is about 15. You have to sort of learn how to see it that way. And once you do, it can be very, very clear. Now, here is one that at first it was two time zones and the date. And what they did was, that's very interesting. You have sort of this thing that looks like this with a little nose on it. The first time zone points to the time on the, like right now they're showing us at 9 o'clock on both of them. And then the second time zone is a little window that spins around on the inside. And so the second time zone is 5 o'clock. So here these two are 4 hours apart, whatever that might be. And then the date is, you have the date on the sort of the outer ring of little dots. Again, really interesting. It's this one's sitting on top of a Ulysse Nardin 118, 42 millimeters, and again, customizable. This one starts around 9,000 Swiss francs. And that's with VAT. Some of these prices I left in the VAT and some I didn't. Now, this one has two time zones. And when I first looked at it, I said, this has got to be the most awkward watch in the world. But the more I thought about it, this is brilliant. This is absolutely brilliant. Just right above wherever the hour hand is the second time zone. Now, this one is set up, so New York City is at 2:24 in the afternoon, and Samara Oblast in Russia is 10:24. And so if you're looking at it, you just look at, okay, so it's 2:24 here, and you can see immediately what the other time zone is. I mean, it's like, at first it says, oh, this is just stupid. It's only stupid because you're used to something else, not because it's stupid. All of these, and like I said, these are not for everyone. I think they're great. Now this, two time zones, 6,000 Swiss francs. Again, and that's with VAT. It's about, I think, around 54 or something without VAT. Okay, now here are three more sets of watches that were sort of treated separately in the Oechslin Jr. is they have a moon phase with a particular color set. They have the black and red and green. They have what's called the Calendario Cent'anni, CCA. This is a 100-year watch. 15,230 Swiss francs. Uses the Ulysse Nardin 320. And finally at the bottom is what they call the Settimana Limited Weekly Watch. And this is 3,300 Swiss francs, and it runs on a Sellita 200-1. Like I said, these watches are unique, they're ingenious, and they're brilliant. But they're not for everyone. I mean, some people can whine about it, and, that's okay. On the other hand, though, I can't have a complete collection without at least one of these really bright watches. Let me know what you think. I'm really interested. And this is an opportunity to subscribe if you like. And until next time, this is Bill Sanders for Watch Art Sci, the art and science of watch collection.